Welcome to Fictionology number 8. And now we didn't actually start this series talking anime, so it's kind of like coming back around kind of what we started on. And this is going to be an interesting one because this is yet another one that I had to punch my mic because I do that all the time. This is another one that I had to go and watch because I hadn't seen it before. But I'm kind of glad I did, and I had always been looking for like an excuse to check this one out. So tonight, I'm joined by the two retards of the Rolo Rome cast, Roland and Roman.
Oh, indeed.
What's up,
Roman,
peeps?
fish aren't animals, and Roland, I don't know. Don't hit on it if you don't have a dick.
Don't do it. What's up, guys? How you doing? No, I'm so excited to talk about this.
Wait a second. So before we get into this, Crimson, you've never seen 2003 Clone Wars?
Yeah, you would know that if you stayed after the last Fictionology to talk about what we're going to talk about.
All right. Well,
no, this was my first watch through of it.
Oh well. How'd you like it?
I was gonna say impressions because I watched it out as a kid and it blew my mind.
There is a lot of good things about this, and it is to be expected with a Genndy Tartakovsky production because that's just how it goes.
Oh yeah,
the dude is an amazing creator when it comes to cartoons. One of the things that I do particularly like about it is the action was a whole lot more fluid than what I would have expected. But bearing in mind, this is one of I had it pulled up here because I wanted to talk about it a little bit, and we'll get into this. And
so you can get away with showing short parts of some clips if you want to. I've done it on our stream before.
I'm not going to because I don't think it's necessary. But we're talking about the guy who has made Dexter's Laboratory, the Powerpuff Girls, Samurai Jack, Symbionic Titan, and Primal. Now there's another one in there, Unicorn Warriors Eternal, but he has got a long list of things that he has.
Did he not do My Life as a Teenage Robot?
Yeah, no. I thought that was him.
I thought that was him too.
No, he also helped storyboard Iron Man 2, by the way.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
This is basically him to fame.
No, his storyboards probably look sick.
He was also the director of Hotel Transylvania.
Hell yeah!
My man.
I forgot about that.
He wrote, he helped with Batman the Animated Series.
He wrote what?
Okay.
He helped with Batman the Animated Series. It says he was an in-between artist.
All right.
That Kenobi that you have on this background here always reminds me of the Genndy Tartakovsky clone, like Kenobi.
Yeah.
Every time I see that one, it reminds me of like that version.
It was honestly like the best black and white Kenobi I could find. And I was like, that's fucking awesome. I should actually change the background here if I can, but I will get to that in a second. So yeah, as far as this goes, I really liked. Like I said, the action was much more fluid than I ever would have expected. The story, I think it's leagues above Filoni's Clone Wars. Like, I don't even think you can really compare the two. The animation for this one was just so much better. The action, the way it's animated, the art style in this, I love it. I loved this so much more than Filoni's Clone Wars. The disadvantage it has is it's a shorter series. So the story is a bit more helter-skelter because it was a mini-series.
Right? You watched both of them? Okay.
Yeah. The second part was much more coherent because it actually started like talking about like leading up to episode 3.
It had to,
The first part, though, was a bit all over the place. But that's to be expected. It's a mini-series. But so the story isn't as strong. It doesn't have the same amount of time that Filoni's Clone Wars did to develop characters or tell like full-on stories or all that. But I still feel like given the same amount of time, Tartakovsky would have made a better Clone Wars than Filoni, hands down.
Hands down. Can I explain to you why that is? What your point that you just made?
Yeah, go ahead.
It feels that way. Why it flowed the way that it did. So that first season, which technically it was. If you guys, to the audience, if you go on Disney Plus right now, you can watch the original Clone Wars on there. They are cut into 2 movies. I own those movies right up here on disc, but they are cut into 2 movies. That's how back in the day you could get it. You had to only get it through buying it at a Blockbuster. You know what I mean? Like on disc. And they didn't come out until the whole thing was out, obviously, and they were really hard to find for a little while there. They weren't like you'd go to the Walmart and it'd be there. I only found 1 copy at one point. I lent it to a friend and lost it and got it back eventually years later. That was my 2000. That was the second part. But basically, the cool thing about this is it was a short animated show, like he explained, and it would air on Cartoon Network in between episodes of other shows, usually in the morning. And it would be just like, let's say, Billy and Mandy just ended, and Ed, Edd and Eddy was about to come on, or vice versa. And like in between, there would be a Clone Wars short. And usually it was just supposed to be action, right? It was supposed to get you into it. But when you slap them all together, like they made kind of a story. Kind of. It just was showing a war because a lot of these little shorts got Dark Horse comics.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what got you to read the Dark Horse comics. And the Dark Horse
read them.
Were fucking awesome. So there was shorts about all these little, there was comics about all these little shorts so that you could actually see like what went down. Like there's a whole Dark Horse comic line where the ARC troopers just keep popping up. Commander Fordo and his team with the painted up LAAT, like they just roll up. Like
those dudes are awesome.
They are
the ARC troopers,
bro. The ARC troopers, and like that was back in the day. They were like some of the only ARC troopers we knew of. You know what I mean? So it was like, oh, these guys are the best of the best in the whole fucking army. And then they started introducing clone commandos and other groups of ARC troopers that we then came to know, like 000, like, different characters. And it got really cool. But that's why they did it that way on that first season, because it was just meant to flesh out the Clone War and what the Clone Wars were like across the galaxy. And then they had comics attached to them and video games attached to them and novels attached to it. So like that's when Clone Wars and the prequels really just exploded, because you had all of these different video games. You had this show airing. You had video comic books and movie and books and novels like to no end, and board games and all action figures for characters that were from books. And the EU was still popping off at the time, still making stories about after Return of the Jedi. So there was all this shit going on, and Revenge of the Sith didn't even have a release date yet. So this was the perfect time for something like this. And then when this was such a success and Revenge of the Sith was starting to get written, that's when they started to make the lead up to it. And that was the point of this show. When part 2 of this came out, its main purpose was to lead up to the beginning of Revenge of the Sith. That's why it ends at the very beginning when they're rolling up on Coruscant, about to hop in their starfighters and get out there and go and save Chancellor Palpatine. And it's super interesting shit. And I like to think that that part of the story is still canon, because if you line that up with even Clone Wars Season 7, it doesn't fuck with it. That whole thing that Anakin and Obi-Wan were doing before, they go to save Palpatine in the original Clone Wars, still can fit in line with everything in Clone Wars. So I don't know if Filoni did that intentionally, but I appreciate that he did do that.
Yeah. In this, like we've kind of already talked about, the action's better. I do like the story of it, but one of the big things that like stood out to me was it actually felt much more like a war, and part of that was the action and the way it's animated. But the other part of it is just the way they handled like the weapons and the scale of it all. Like this one actually felt like the scale of a galactic war in any situation. Like you had swarms and swarms of droids deployed at any given battle.
You had
It
different
wasn't just
scales
like
there.
you're gonna get like a couple hundred of them lined up. No, there were like you had to have like thousands of droids put on the screen in this one.
Dude, and not only just that, the other thing I like is that you get the perspective of like the separatist like leaders that are running these battles the same way you're getting the perspective of the Jedi Knights or whoever's on that side, on the good side, right? You're getting both teams doing all this stuff, so you're really getting them all fleshed out too. Like,
And like people say that
characters, like, and the thing with the battle, sorry, Roman,
okay.
the thing with the battles and the scale as well, that's how it would be. I mean, these are planetary scales, right? But there's a great scene in the first one when you're first introduced to the ARC troopers when they're flying into the city, and
yeah, no, that was one of the like moments I noticed it where like they arrive in orbit and they start deploying all the fighters and the gunships, and it's just swarms of them pouring out of these cruisers. And I'm like, that's what Star Wars should feel like, especially in this era. Because
so that's what it is, right? So that's what it would be, but that's at the major side of the capital, right? And then to show scale, you hear it in the background and it's quiet on the other side of the Capitol. And that's where the ARC troopers come in from. The quiet end on the other side of the Capitol, but you can see everything going on over there. You see all the explosions. Like for us, Roman, it would be like us being on the highway going towards Philly, and from the other side of Philly, there's just mad explosions and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but we're coming in the silent way, so we just see it and hear it. But like, there's
I wanted to say
war happening. Like, they made that the front so that the ARC troopers could sneak in, and it was a great way to show the scale of the battle because it showed the distance of how wide the city was as well.
I also wanted to say too that there are people that say that Clone Wars, the Filoni one fleshed out Obi-Wan and Cody's relationship more. But the thing is, this show doesn't really get a lot of credit for fleshing out Cody and Obi-Wan's relationship.
Cody's not really in it.
I mean, Cody's in it some, but
Cody's
like
in the second one. Cody's in the second one for one scene.
I was about to say, I don't really think Cody's really around.
Obi's the one that's working with the ARC troopers. But I will tell you this: Rex wasn't a character yet, so there's no Rex. But
yeah,
you do get a lot of Cody and Obi-Wan in the Dark Horse comics, thanks to this show introducing Cody as a character. So
was this Cody's first time ever being like a character?
This is Cody's first legitimate. It might have been in a Dark Horse comic before this part 2 came out, but like if you look at the Dark Horse comics, they're in the style of Tartakovsky. They're drawn in his style, which is really fucking good. Dude, they're so cool. If you guys can find them anywhere, when I used to get them, I used to get used ones, and they would always fall apart. So I don't think I have any anymore. But they're just so cool. The old school Dark Horse comics, they're probably worth so much money. Actually, continue talking about how great this is. I want to look it up because
I just so on Wikipedia, the Star Wars, the Clone Wars comics, published by Dark Horse. First issue was released on September 10th, 2008.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So then they started pushing them out. No.
I'm going to have to go to my local comic shop to see if they have any of these.
No. That doesn't make sense. I think that means Clone Wars as in Dave Filoni's Clone Wars.
That would have predated Dave Filoni's Clone Wars. 2008?
2008 is when the movie came out. 2009 is when the show came out.
Is it?
2008 is when the Clone Wars movie came out. I'm pretty sure. Because then who the fuck was making the comics? I'm pretty sure it was Dark Horse that was making the comics for the Tartakovsky shit.
Okay. Actually, that still predates the movie by about a month.
Hmm,
So
okay.
it kind of lines up. Um,
Well, if it's by a month, then that makes sense. They do that with the movies. They used to do that with Revenge of the Sith. They released the novel a month before and the game.
yeah, I was
That's why
gonna say it still makes more sense if it was connected to Filoni's Clone Wars, though. I'm gonna have to do some more.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I'm pretty sure Dark Horse lost their contract in 2012 when Disney bought Star Wars, but they had the contract predating Revenge of the Sith. So did Marvel.
Okay, so there I found one that is Star Wars Clone Wars, and then there's Star Wars The Clone Wars.
Yeah, so it would be Star Wars
Okay.
Clone Wars. Clone
Yeah,
Wars.
because
These
Clonies
look
is
fucking
the
sick.
Clone Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars Clone Wars comics are the shit, dude. And Marvel made a comic where General Grievous, dude, this is one of the coolest fucking comics. Count Dooku. This is before anybody knows who Grievous is. So before we see him in this, right? So there's a Marvel comic out there. I have it somewhere. I must because I own it.
Oh,
And
these are trade paperbacks. Ooh.
it came with an Anakin action figure and a Dirge action figure. And you watch the show, you know who Dirge is now. Pretty fucking cool bounty hunter. The tentacle guy, the Obi-Wan fights.
Yeah.
Fucking cool bounty hunter, literally unkillable. Their race lives for thousands of years, and he is finally killed in a comic book. Okay, I'm mixing up two different comic books, but he's finally killed in the next comic book by Anakin Skywalker by shooting him into a star. But anyway, it's this Ventress and Dirge, the bounty hunter, when they first start working for Dooku, and he sends them on a mission. But the mission is really training for Grievous to test Grievous, and he sends them on this freaking space station to hunt down a Jedi. And Grievous is waiting for him, and Grievous was sent there to hunt them. And basically, towards the end of the fight, when Grievous is about to kill both Ventress and has already sliced Dirge into many pieces, does Dooku's hologram appear and tell them, "Oh, this is a great test. Good shit, guys." And then that was part of this. That's why that technically took place during this show at some point, which that was before Grievous was revealed, but after Ventress was taken.
I hate that like this version of these characters was not my actual like introduction to these characters, because when I was a kid, like
Did you ever watch this as a kid
I
either? I'm the only one
so
that's
I
actually seen this as a kid, like when it was airing, like watched it on TV as it was airing.
no I saw it after the fact.
So I'm the only one that's watched it
As a kid, yeah.
as a kid, like as a little kid, like 3 years old. I'm watching this shit. Okay.
So here's what the show did for me, but I need to give a little bit of a backstory because
They
I
kept
saw
airing it,
Grievous.
too. They aired it from like 2003 to 2005 when Revenge of the Sith came out, and they kept airing it a little bit after that, and then they stopped it. It would come back. It would do it like a cycle, kind of like 6 months on, 6 months off type of thing.
So here's my thing. I saw Grievous for the first time as a kid in Revenge of the Sith. And I thought he was an okay character. I thought he was just kind of cool, but didn't really have like that it factor. In Clone Wars, Filoni's still kind of the same thing. Like I didn't really think that he was all that cool.
No, he's a bitch in Filoni's.
Then
I was about to say
Clone Wars?
in Filoni's Clone Wars, Grievous is like a mustache twirling supervillain who they had to literally skate around the existence of Anakin Skywalker because of a throwaway line.
No, here's the thing. They nerf him. They nerf him because he's
they nerf everything.
No, they do. That's
in
besides the point. Everything in Dave Filoni's Clone Wars is completely nerfed, especially fucking Mace Windu. He only gets one great scene in that Clone Wars, and it's when he jumps the bridge. But
that was immediately what I thought of.
and the sound turns off, and he looks at the droid in the face like that. Yeah, that one. But literally, the Grievous thing with Filoni is so ridiculous because there's 2 or 3 scenes where Grievous is actually like pretty fucking menacing in Clone Wars. Excuse me. Jesus Christ, I don't know where that came from. And that's it. He like there's the one scene in season 2 where he takes down Eth Koth and like fucks him up and like murders a fuck ton of people in that arc. Like there's 2 scenes in that arc where he just goes ballistic on some clone troopers and shit. It's like, okay, that's Grievous from this Clone Wars right there. Like an actual, but then he runs away, right? Both times he fucking runs away. And then you also get Grievous when he's storming Obi-Wan's ship during a battle at one point, and that's a quick one, and that's a really good thing. There's something in season 4. There's something in season, and he crushes a clone trooper's neck with his foot. And Obi-Wan's like, you're gonna regret that. Like that's a good Grievous thing, right? And then you have another good one in Clone Wars season 3, the Clone Wars season 3, the Filoni one, where he on Kamino, where he like brutalizes some clones in on Kamino, and it's like, yeah, that's the Grievous, dude. Like, and when he's chasing Ahsoka through the droid parts room in season 1 of Filoni's Clone Wars, and he turns his sabers off, and she's walking around with hers out, and you don't know where the fuck he's at, and he's on the ceiling, and his face upside down just pops up in front of hers, and he grabs her by the throat and rips her up into this fucking ceiling. Like, that's Grievous, dude. Like, that's the spooky shit that he does. And they nerf him after season 3 of that show.
Dude, that is the thing, is Grievous is an absolute menace in this
series. Most of that show,
and you actually understand why he's a menace, because they give him really good material to feed into that mythos of Grievous is a Jedi hunter.
Part 2 of this show. Hold on, 1 second. Part 2 of this show, where he goes after Palpatine, and they run down the hallway, and the doors are closed, and they're pressing the button on the fucking elevator, and it's like, ding, 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 ding. The elevator's not getting up yet, and all they're hearing behind the doors is just blaster fire and screams, and lightsabers, and a chainsaw. Did you notice that? At one point, it just goes, like,
I actually didn't catch that.
Like, literally in the scene, there's a fucking chainsaw, and they all look at each other like, what the fuck? Like, it's and
the best part is he went through most of that show, like almost all of his fights in that show, only using 2 arms, and then the reveal that he has 4 right at the very end. That was really well done.
Not even that. He does it in the first fight. He uses his foot. He has 3 lightsabers. He just goes like, fuck it.
Yeah, he's also like, he's just throwing everyone around. And again, this is where like the animation for it, while there are moments where it's less good, it really, like, this version of Grievous is done so much justice by how well this show is animated. Like the fluidity of the action and all. He seems much less like a giant clunky robot like he did in Filoni's Clone Wars, and much more like a proper Jedi hunter.
He glides when he walks in this one. He doesn't like walk.
Well, not just that, but he actually like fucking moves. He hauls ass just on 2 feet.
Yeah. Dude, my favorite move that he does throughout this show, and I think Tartakovsky knew how fucking sick it was, and I think it might have been his too, when he first gets revealed and he's fighting all the Jedi, when he does a fucking handstand and grabs 2 of them by the fucking face with his feet and then slams them into the ground, and then backflips on his hands again and flicks them into the sky. Like,
Oh no!
dude,
What
that's
happens
insane.
is
So they
he
start making,
grabs one and slams him into the ground to kill it.
yes,
And the other
that's
one
what-
is Luminara that he
yes.
grabs at the same time as he's
No,
swinging the other guy.
no. It's Sakura, Ayla.
Oh yeah, Ayla Secura.
Sorry,
Right, she's the one who survives that.
yeah, but he just and then he does the backwards handstand and just flicks both of them into the freaking ceiling.
Mhm.
Like, and then they just the next time they did the all out Grievous fight against him and the clone troopers, they knew they had to just have him playing with his fucking feet. Like, dude, I love that he just like boom smashes that clone trooper's
What
skull.
I wanted to say
They
earlier,
show his freaking helmet just crack like
what I
oh
wanted
my
to say
goodness.
earlier
I
was
wanted to
that
see Grievous just do that. Just grab people with his freaking claw and like that. That is what should be in Clone Wars. We should be seeing him do this type of like needless brutalization, because that's what he is. Pure hatred, pure unadulterated hatred.
so before I saw this show, now, like I said earlier, it started with Revenge of the Sith, then it was Filoni's Clone Wars. I didn't see this show until I was about 12 or 13. And when I watched it, instantly General Grievous became cool in my eyes. And it was because of this show. And also, that um if you guys want to keep talking about Grievous, we can. But you know who else this show made cool for me? Mace Windu.
Well, you should read
This show made
You should read the Mace Windu book.
well, I haven't, but that's actually on my list. But Mace Windu in this show is really freaking cool. So I like him in this show.
We'll talk about
And
it, but I got one more thing.
Just to kind of keep it on the Grievous train here. I like how, in spite of Grievous like being this massive menace, they also used that in the very beginning of the second movie to like hype up the fucking ARC troopers. They like walk in on Grievous, and they're all just sitting there staring at him, and then all of a sudden it's just open fire, and everyone unleashes hell on the dude.
Dude, I
He's
love
just
that
running around dodging, and
I love
they kept him on his toes too, which was impressive.
Dude,
but like
the way that they roll up, and that scene you were talking earlier about the weapons in this show. It's very visceral, right? They're like putting them together, locking them all up. They lock and load.
Not just that, but like
helmet on.
Here's the big example that stood out to me. Not only do like the weapons look cooler, like the dude with the fucking anti-aircraft gun strapped to his chest.
Yes.
Like they have cooler weapons, but they actually feel like weapons you would expect soldiers to use. Where the clones were basically using those tiny little handguns that were like pew, 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 pew. These guys had full-on like squad automatic weapons that they deployed with.
Well, they're all troopers, right? You'd expect them to have
just any clone. I mean, look at the guys in the background on the screen.
Well, these guys are fucking badass, and I can tell you exactly what battle they're in, and it is one of the worst battles of the Clone Wars. It is the Battle of Mimban, which was basically like the Vietnam of Clone Wars. Just everyone died, and they eventually pulled out. And Anakin was there as a 15-year-old and got separated from Obi-Wan with his clone troopers and had to just survive by himself. Those are Mimbanese clones, and they are fucking hardcore.
Wait a second.
My point is that their weapons were fully automatic, like heavy suppressive fire kind of stuff. They felt like you were actually deploying into a battle, as compared to what the other clones and what the clones in Filoni's Clone Wars were using. They were glorified self-defense weapons. They were using glorified handguns.
So hold on, wait a second.
No, they were using the clone-issued pistol, which was I forget the name of that one.
So
they were using the DL-17 or whatever, and the DL-17X is this, which is the LMG version. Which most clones are with both of them.
If Anakin is 15 in that battle, how old is he in Attack of the Clones? 14?
Oh no, wait, it wouldn't be 15. I guess he's 19. My bad.
Yeah, I was about to say.
19.
I think
I was thinking of something else that he was involved in at 15. No, he was 19 in that battle. That's my bad. 19 of that battle.
I was about to say that would be a
Figured.
little
That's
weird for
funny.
him to be marrying Padme at like 13.
No, 19 or
Which
20.
I wouldn't put
I
it
mean,
past
but
him,
like,
but
No,
I
he marries
mean,
Padme at 19.
he did think that she was an angel at like 7, bro. So
He
I mean,
marries
hey,
Padme at
you know,
19.
I,
He becomes Darth Vader a couple months before he would turn 23. So
Roman, if you saw Natalie Portman for the first time in your life at 7, you would probably say she's an angel.
I
too.
saw Natalie Portman for the first time in my life at 3, and I knew I wasn't gay. Like,
no, but so
It is.
like,
and
so
fucking what's her name? Elizabeth from Pirates of the Caribbean.
so
Keira Knightley.
I just want to say that like to all of y'all's points from earlier, this show moves so smoothly and I love the action, but this also just for like it's hard to explain and this is going to sound really corny, but this show just feels like Star Wars.
No, it does.
But it also
You're right. It does. That's not
Yeah.
corny because we just had this conversation about Andor. Like how to
Yeah.
us, it feels like Star Wars. It feels the most OT Star Wars since we've gotten in years.
This
Yeah.
genuinely feels very reminiscent of the things that happened right at the end of Attack of the Clones, the very first battle of the Clone Wars, the Battle of Geonosis. All of this feels like that. Because in the Battle of Geonosis, you had tons and tons of clones deploying, like massive armies clashing there. This captures that really well with the like just the scale, the numbers, the ferocity of the fights. Like, especially when you get to like the Battle of Coruscant near the end of this,
Oh my
and
so good.
you have the ARC troopers just like holding a line on their own. The
dude,
iconic scene.
No, that's
Dude.
Fordo. That's Fordo, yeah, where he's just doing the thing. And like that's my thing, dude. Fordo is the template for Captain Rex.
bro.
Like that's what Rex
held them off
these Clone Wars,
so
but
that the Jedi could arrive, bro. He is a G.
Dude,
He
no,
is a G.
he's not even like just a G. He is a one-man fucking army. And he's like Captain America. He's Captain Republic. Like that's what he
Yeah.
is, dude. He's Captain Republic. And he's fucking phenomenal. And I do want to say right here to Great Pilgrim's point, if you read Labyrinth of Evil, which takes place right before Revenge of the Sith, Mace was leading an investigation into the secret Sith controlling the Senate, and they got so fucking close right before Grievous invades. Yes, great book. Highly recommend it. Go and read Labyrinth of Evil. I'm not going to spoil anything in it, but it is really fucking good. And it takes
Wait,
place.
so they got close to finding out?
Yes, they got really close.
There's so much stuff as far as Star Wars goes.
Mace
That, like,
Windu always sensed something off about Palpatine, and it was like literally he was so close. And then when Anakin's like, I think Chancellor Palpatine is a Sith Lord, Mace was like, I'm right. That's why he goes, a Sith Lord? Because he's like, I'm right. Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this is if
No,
I'm,
but
I'm right about everything else. This is fucking terrible. You know what I mean?
another thing that I like about this show is that I like seeing the Jedi having to adjust to like being generals. It's something that we didn't really get in like, you know, Filoni's Clone Wars. Like
I don't know about that. I think we got not quite the adjustment, but I think we do get that through Ahsoka. Whether you like Ahsoka or not, I think you get that through Ahsoka because they go, you know, she comes in very she thinks it's weird that she's a commander, even though all the clones are technically older than her, but they're also younger than her, and like she thinks all this is very strange.
you have a 14-year-old leading a bunch of 6-year-olds into battle.
Yeah, like she's like, you know what I mean? Like they do mention that is touched on throughout the show. So I wouldn't say that, but they do often mention, Anakin especially mentions to Padme, we're supposed to be peacekeepers. Like he even says some things about his feelings about the war and how he just wants it to be over because I want to go back to us being peacekeepers, not soldiers, not generals. We're not supposed to be generals. We're Jedi.
You mentioned Anakin, and this brings up something that I really did like about this. I feel like this did a better job of portraying Anakin's like building rage and hatred
Yes.
across the war. Especially when you get to the last part of it, where he is like in the separatist facility fighting all the mutants and stuff. No, and like you genuinely see like his rage starts to grow out of like a genuinely good part of him. Like he is viscerally angry at the separatists for what they did to those people.
Yeah, and dude, and he's got the ghost hand, right? Because he has no hand, and he reaches out and he undoes the guy's fucking screws. Oh my god,
bro!
Who is the guy with?
That's true. Yeah, Great Pilgrim, dude. They got so close that Palps had to kill off the team helping Mace, and then order Grievous to move up the timeline and invade when he did. Yep.
So who is? I don't remember the name, but there's a Jedi in this Clone Wars. He has like He has the two horns and like the battle, like Nordic battle helmet.
Yes. Stacey Tin. He is considered the best pilot.
He is fucking badass.
Yeah,
like during the Battle of Coruscant, when he's like, the ship is going down, sir. We're going to get a new one. And he just lines all the clones up in the hangar and like flies over the nose of a separatist ship. And, like
jumps out.
That's one of the things that I really did like about this is the Jedi battle armor. We got to see like Obi-Wan Kenobi wearing like the full clone armor.
Dude, I have an action figure of that where he's got the cape and the clone armor on and the helmet. I have an action figure of that Kenobi.
And then
it's really cool.
And then the guy I was just talking about, sorry, I keep forgetting the name because Stacey Tin.
Master Tin, if you want to.
Okay. Like that stuff made like the Jedi genuinely look badass. Like they already are badass. They just needed a fit to help it out. And those two right there were like really cool. And also
his
one other thing
was sick.
One other thing that I thought was absolutely really cool about this was just the ideas that Genndy Tartakovsky puts in here just for like humor and stuff, or just to play up the cartoon elements of it. Like they're full on like jousting on speeder bikes in the middle of the battle. That was fucking cool.
That is so cool.
It's so impractical, all things considered, but it was cool as fuck.
I just love the fact that they're like, we should bring the pikes just in case, right? Yeah. Bring the jousting pikes just in case they pull out their jousting pikes.
Just a fucking bunch of clones on speeders. It's fucking
so
with lances.
To your earlier
There's no
point,
reason for it. Like they could just literally use speeder bikes with guns on them, but they're like, no, like let's just in case they pull out their jousting pikes, then we'll just use the pikes. Let's bring the pikes.
To your earlier point, Crimson,
bring the pikes. Yeah, let's bring the pikes.
Something that, and before, more so Roland, before Roland jumps down my throat, I love the prequels. So I'm not saying this out of spite or like slight, but in the Star Wars movies, the 6 of them, there are not 9, Jedi are seen kind of to be more like they were portrayed more as stoic and kind of like peaceful warrior monks. So what I like about this show is that they can just be fucking badasses. Like they are just allowed to fully go full throttle with it and just be awesome. And the thing that I love about the show is that we get like a showcase of like how powerful Jedi really are. And that is really cool.
Yeah. The Force not being nerfed in this, and Mace Windu being able to single-handedly handle like an entire army of droids was fucking awesome.
Well, you know why we got away with it, right? I said, you guys know why we got away with seeing the Jedi do that, right?
Because Disney wasn't involved yet.
Well, that is an answer. There's a very simple answer though. One that actually has a lore thing to it. Droids.
Oh,
The Jedi
ah,
are only portrayed killing droids, except for Anakin in this show. So the Jedi can go all out, and actually Obi-Wan.
I was about
Obi-Wan
to say technically Obi-Wan with the
with
immortal
Dirge.
bounty hunter Dirge, yeah.
Yeah. Dirge is awesome.
No, but to touch on the humor thing again, I found it absolutely like hilarious. Like the
There's
episode where
humor in this show too. That's the other thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
like when they're like sieging that planet and the dude's like bragging about like they're gonna need 1,000 Jedi to lay siege to this, and then
20?
Anakin comes crawling up and he's like, I found this
30?
ancient. No, sir, less. How many?
20?
2.
2?
And it's Anakin and Obi-Wan.
And then all it shows is them just leaving.
Yes.
Like, it's so good.
No, like the fun, like another one of the funny parts I was gonna say is just like Anakin talking about I was in the enemy camp. You were in the enemy camp. How did you get there? Oh, there was an entrance in the sewer.
Yeah, right.
And he's like sitting there eating bugs the whole time, and Obi-Wan just like grossed out. And he's like, so I'm assuming the plan is to then crawl through the sewer, infiltrate the enemy camp, destroy the shield generator, and then launch a full-on frontal assault. Yep, sounds about right. Ready to get going?
this show is actually really funny too. Like there were times that like I was like actually cracking up laughing, and not to keep dunking on the Filoni show, but it like
That's okay.
there's maybe there there's maybe 2 or 3 moments from that show that really made me laugh, and one of them was when Zero the Hutt came out of that thing, and then you just hear like the clone go, "Oh my god!" Like that made me laugh. But this show has so many moments that just like made me like really really laugh.
Well,
And
the
so
humor in this show was like proper like cartoonist humor. In
Yeah.
Filoni's Clone Wars, the humor was pretty dumb. Let's be
It's
honest.
Marvel humor.
Yes. So
yeah,
it's
Yeah.
dumbed down quite a bit.
And Great Pilgrim is correct. Obi-Wan and Anakin are war heroes that everyone in the galaxy loved and followed. This show showed it. Absolutely. There is an entire storyline in the EU about how they covered Anakin's death during the Clone Wars, how they kept him as a war hero after the Clone Wars, that Anakin Skywalker died attacking the Jedi Temple or some shit. Something like it was something like that. It was like he died like because he stood by the Republic or something. And it was a big thing because the whole galaxy knew him as like he was like Captain fucking America, I guess. I don't know. It was like everybody in the world, like if Anakin Skywalker was on our planet right now and was a war hero for America, everybody would know him. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Be like General Byrd, I guess.
yeah,
Like if there was a rebellion in the government and General Byrd was murdered because of it, everybody would be like, "Yo, what the fuck?" That's like, or Admiral Byrd. Everybody would be like, "That was our best admiral of all time ever," and he stood by the people and the government. Like, yeah, I do think you guys should do that with what Great Pilgrim just said. I'd highly recommend that Crimson and Roman read the Revenge of the Sith novelization.
that's on my list.
Actually, what you could do is listen to it because I believe there's a narration by Ian McDermott or Ewan McGregor or Christopher Lee or something like that. Somebody does it. It might even be one of the voice actors from Clone Wars, but it's good. The Revenge of the Sith novelization is considered canon, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah,
Revenge of the Sith, episode 3. You can find it
I
on
am
Audible, Kindle.
Yeah, you should. You guys should at least listen to it.
Nice. That might be something worthwhile listening to at work. That's how I did Lord of the Rings, actually, is I listened to it while I was working in someone's $1 million home.
There you go.
Nice. Was this James Arnold Taylor's first time playing Obi-Wan?
I don't know if he was the voice actor for Obi-Wan in this or not.
He was.
Oh, then yes. I was
Yeah.
unless he did it in a video game before that.
Yeah, because does does he not does he play Obi-Wan in the Revenge of the Sith game? He doesn't, right?
I have no idea.
But I just thought to myself, because before we before we came on the stream, I rewatched not the whole show, but like, a good chunk of it. And I was thinking, hey, that sounds like James Arnold Taylor. And then I, look it up and I'm like, oh my God, it's literally, James Arnold Taylor. And I thought that he had voiced Obi-Wan for the first time in Filoni Clone Wars. But I also like about this show that you can tell that there was no meddling, that like the people making it were just allowed to like, do it, to just like do what they wanted to do. And
Actually, there
I
was
think,
quite a bit of meddling by George, but
was there meddling by George in
yeah,
the show? Was there? Really?
yeah, George had a hand in all of this.
Not what I mean by meddling is like how Disney comes in and changes shit. That's what I mean. Not not like
Well, I
George.
mean, George definitely came in and changed shit, but it was for the better, not for the worse.
Mm, mm. So, but like the point is that this show, kind of like what I kind of go back to what I said earlier. Like this show feels like a Star Wars show, and I just dig it in that way because I think that, um dare I say, if you want to get people into Star Wars, you can add this on to the list of things for them to watch. Um, if you like really want to get them into it. Um, so yeah. Um, would Let me ask you both: would you two put this onto the list of recommendations for getting people into Star Wars for people that had like never seen it? Not saying that like you start them with this, but I'm saying, would you show them this too?
Yeah,
I think you could easily start with this because it is very palatable. Um, uh, just in general. I still think that you would want to start with like an actual Star Wars movie, so that like you go from the beginning of the story.
yes.
But like you could start with this if you want to show someone something that's just like really like action, fast paced kind of thing.
Yeah,
um
because people
Plus,
say,
I feel like this does a lot with like the characters that isn't done in the movies. In the movies, you do see a lot of like Anakin's like quick wit and like sense of humor towards things, and the way and like the chemistry he and Obi-Wan have together. But in this, there are a lot of moments where I was like, "Yep, that seems like an Anakin thing." Yeah, that seems like an
Here's the thing.
Anakin thing.
I think that regardless, before you watch Revenge of the Sith, you could benefit from watching both of these.
yeah,
Would you benefit from watching both of these? Um, or would you need to? Not necessarily, but would you benefit? Yes. Like if you were to go from, let's say you watched 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, or vice versa, you watched 1, 2, and then these two movies, and then 3, and then 4, 5, 6, or backwards. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, these 3. If you watched it that way, I think you get a much cooler introduction to Grievous. I think you get a much cooler introduction of what's going on. You get a
yeah,
much
like that's
cooler,
kind of the
you get a
thing.
much cooler vibe of the Jedi by the time that you get to Revenge of the Sith, right? Because all of them have gotten a chance to do something. So when they die during Order 66, it really fucking means something. And they're not just random aliens that are getting shot. Like they're all people that you've seen at least do something in these two movies. So I think it would behoove somebody who is showing someone Star Wars for the first time to play these two movies for them after Attack of the Clones and before Revenge of the Sith in whatever order you're doing it.
So yeah, because I was just thinking about that because we were talking about this, I think, on the last like Roller cast. Like, because Roland, you said that you would put Andor onto the list of like adding things for people to watch when it comes to getting them into Star Wars, and
Yeah,
I was thinking, hey man, look, you can show them Filoni's Clone Wars if you really want to, but I would show them this. Like, this is Star Wars at its best. And there are, eh, you know what? Dare I say, depending on the person, because I've had people tell me that they think that Star Wars is boring. I'm just gonna recommend.
I think those people sit there on their phone. I don't think I know anybody that has actually sat. I'm telling you, has legitimately sat there and watched A New Hope that didn't gain something out of it. I feel like
Yeah,
that's impossible. I feel like if you watch the movie it's a perfect movie. It has a beginning and end. It has a great story throughout. I mean, and so is Empire, but Empire leads into the next one. I'm saying if there was just A New Hope and that was it, we weren't talking about this right now. We were talking about A New Hope. I still think that is a movie that I can just put on. It's like Jurassic Park. It's like you find something that you like about it if you watch it. But like if you tell me it's boring, that just goes to show that you went into it thinking it was going to be boring and you were on your phone most of the time, or you weren't actually paying attention to the stories or the morals or anything that was being told to you by this piece of art. So I don't think that you really got the point of what the movie was trying to do. But if you tell me that it's boring, because even just was showing somebody the scene of the cantina, if they knew nothing about Star Wars, and I went to an island where they've never seen technology or movies, and I said, "Look at this," and I showed them the cantina scene, I'm pretty sure they'd find it interesting. They wouldn't tell me
yeah,
that's boring.
yeah. And I think, but no, so like there have been people that I've like,
Same thing people
recommended.
say about Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, there are people that I have recommended get into like Star Wars, and they're like, well, it looks boring. So I'm going to recommend them this, and then they don't have any reason to say that Star Wars is boring because this is by no means boring.
No,
However,
that's
Roland, I think to your point, Roland, though, they're gonna think it's boring no matter what. But this show just proves that they don't know what they're talking about.
do I know these
If they say
people?
that, no, it's mostly like
My younger
coworkers
brother.
and such.
Ah,
You
it's your
think
New
so?
York. It's your New York friends, isn't it?
Mine, no. So your younger
I,
brother thinks that Star Wars is boring, Crimson?
Well, he's not a fan of it. He doesn't care for it.
so that's a difference, right? You cannot
Oh, okay.
be a fan of Star Wars. Like it's the same way, in my opinion, right? That somebody can tell me I fucking hate the Beatles. I don't like them at all. They everything that they make is nailed on a chalkboard to me. But you can't tell me that they suck because they clearly don't, judging by how fucking popular they are to this day, right? So when people
Yeah,
say the Beatles
yeah,
suck, in my opinion, it's like no, they don't suck on a on that level, right? Like to you, to your ears, they suck. But so to you, you have other reasons for not liking them. But there is a large demographic of people on the planet that believe that they are the best band ever created. So it's the same thing when it comes to Star Wars. You can say that Star Wars sucks, but in reality, Star Wars does not actually suck. You just do not like it. It's just a matter that more of the I would say 70% of the population that's seen Star Wars enjoys it at least. And the same thing for the Beatles, at least a song or two, right? Most people like a Beatles song or two.
Yeah.
Most people like the song, like most people like A New Hope. Most people like Empire. Like so people can say Star Wars is boring. Like I have an uncle who does not like Star Wars. But he will tell you that, yeah, I saw all 3 Star Wars movies as a kid, and it was huge, and it is very popular, and I know how loved it is. I'm just not big into sci-fi shit.
I generally have a hard time trying to say anything is bad, and I steer away from it as much as possible. So much so that I almost rarely have more than 1 or 2 anime in a season that I will say is bad. Generally, I'll leave it to like the not for me or I'm not interested in it. There are a lot of things out there like that. A lot of people associate a lot of people associate their tastes with good or bad rather than just being their personal preference. And that's one of the big issues in trying to say like a kind of music is good or bad, or a kind of show is good or bad, or a kind of story is good or bad. Because, well, it comes down to personal preference. With Star Wars, you can make the argument that it's good because it has such mass appeal and it was so pervasive throughout all the pop culture for such a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a pretty strong argument to say that it was a good property.
I love how you say was. You can't. I mean, for all of Disney's flaws, I think Star Wars is still pretty big. But no, to your point though, I think also just I think it comes down to if like you're not gonna get everyone to like it, and if so like if you show someone A New Hope, right, and they put their phone down and they watch it and they don't like it, then they're just not gonna like it.
Well, then
And
I also have a little bit of questions for you. My questions being is, what is it about it that you do not like? And like, because if there's certain things, like if you tell me like, oh, the story of Luke Skywalker is shit, then like I might then begin to question you.
Luke doesn't do enough aura farming.
Like if you like, I might begin to question your actual mental aptitude. Like if you look at me, like if I show you a movie, like
Obi-Wan Kenobi ain't got that skibbity riz, yo.
right. I mean, if I show you the original Star Wars, if I show you a New Hope, and you tell me like, well, Han Solo's an asshole and Obi-Wan's a piece of shit because he just fucking lets himself get killed like an idiot. And Luke Skywalker's just a bitch the entire time who all of a sudden the ghost possesses him and he's just able to like shoot the ball into there and blow up the Death Star and save the day. Like, I don't understand that. That's stupid. Then I would just literally look at the person and be like, I don't think you watched the same movie that I did. Like, if they were on their phone, like there is people out there. I have seen these YouTubers that do their video essays that talk about this type of shit, and it's literally it will be that point. It'll be like, oh, so the space old man ghost just possessed him while he's flying down the corridor and shot the ball into there for him. Wow, that's how the Force works. That's stupid. Like
sounds like
CinemaSins. That is how they
would,
dude, literally, that's how they would see the scene where he's like, no, Luke, use the Force. They'd be like, wow, the ghost possessed him and did it for him. Like, if I was watching A New Hope with somebody and they said that to me, I'd be like, okay, I can't watch movies with you. I guess we can be friends, but there's clearly, this won't work.
I would look to them and start quoting Fallout New Vegas. Oh, look, the lobotomite has returned. What vile, heinous screeching will it produce next?
Yeah.
So I want
to quickly, I do want to address this. Yes, Rings of Power is bad. That is one of the few properties that does get an objective bad.
Yeah, and I just want to say really quickly also, fuck the Acolyte. That's part of the Star Wars property, but not Star Wars as a whole is bad, but just the Acolyte was pretty shit. So yeah.
The Acolyte
But
was pretty shit. So yeah,
so yeah.
indeed.
Um so my so I actually wanted to ask y'all, who is everyone's favorite character on this show?
That's a difficult question to answer.
There's a lot of good ones, and it's really hard not to just say like Obi-Wan because Obi-Wan's the GOAT. When you have Grievous, Fordo.
I was gonna
I,
say, like,
I
you have Grievous, you have Fordo and the ARC Troopers, you have Aayla Secura, not Aayla Secura, you have Shakti just kicking ass
I
in
gotta
that
tell
second
you,
movie. Like, Shakti is fucking goated, dude. Shaggy, yeah, you got Shaggy. You got Mace
yeah,
Windu being a goat. You got Yoda being a goat. You got Anakin being great. Dooku's great. Palpatine's really fucking good. Like Crimson said earlier, C10's great.
If I had to pick one though, just because I love like the early clone armor, Fordo, because I would say it's probably my favorite character in all of this.
Gordo is 100% up there. Um,
honestly, it's either Fordo or Shakti for me, but I really love Mace and also Grievous
I was
on
gonna
this
say
show
I
too.
think Shakti's probably fucking up there for me, but also Kiadi Mundi for his fight with Grievous.
Yeah,
But I think I need to separate character moments from favorite scenes because I want to get into like some of our favorite scenes in a little bit too. Um, just to hear everybody's opinions on like what they think are the best. But I think Yoda's great in it. I do really love Obi-Wan, although he gets a lot less in the second movie, but it was meant to really focus on Anakin. If I were to pick my absolute favorite, I think it would just be Grievous, just because of how much fun he is throughout that show, man. Him and the ARC Troopers, both.
The only complaint I have about Grievous is I like the voice that he gets later on rather than the voice in this one. I feel like if they had given him, if he had been voiced
Really,
the
dude,
other
I
way,
prefer his voice in this one. He sounds so fucking prim and proper compared to the rest of you. Like he's just better than everyone. That's why I like this one.
I feel like he would have been a whole lot more intimidating if he had
Well,
been.
here was the point. His voice sounds
Pilgrim.
different. He's voiced by the same guy. He's voiced by Matthew Wood, who also plays Grievous, and he voices him in this show. Matthew Wood also worked on all the prequels, and I believe he worked on Clone Wars and he worked on the sequels and other Disney shit. Matthew Wood was a longtime Lucasfilm employee, but he designed and got to voice Grievous and play him. And so he played Grievous in this show, but then also played him in the movie. Now you have to remember, Grievous doesn't cough in this show. Grievous coughs in the movie. So George was already thinking in Revenge of the Sith, his voice needs to sound a little different because his chest just got crushed. So that's why he sounds different from this movie or from these movies to Revenge of the Sith, is because there was no Clone Wars TV show from Filoni at the time. So he sounds a little bit different because he got crushed and hasn't had the chance to get his lungs replaced, or not replaced, but refitted.
But he
Like
even
that was,
sounds like that on Utapau.
yeah, I know he hasn't had the chance. It has, dude. It's literally been days. He hasn't. They're running at this point. Dooku just got killed. They weren't expecting Dooku to get killed. Like the separatists are running at that point. He doesn't have the chance to go back and stop at a stronghold and get refitted. He is on the run. That's why he's asking like Palpatine on Utapau, what the fuck are we gonna do? What's the point? What about the loss of Count Dooku? And Palpatine's like, don't worry about it. I got a new one. And Grievous is like, all right, bro, whatever you say, I'll send him to Mustafar. We're going to Mustafar, I guess. Like if that's where we're running to. And he would have been refitted there had he lived, had Obi-Wan not shown up.
Either way,
Um,
I still do like his later voice. I find it a whole lot more intimidating. But I can
Well,
see
yeah,
the
he
argument.
coughs in the show. Yes, Pilgrim. He does cough in the show after he gets crushed. He starts wailing on the floor, like coughing, like because his chest legitimately gets crushed. He gets new chest piece armor, but he doesn't get his lungs actually looked at by a doctor in that time. He goes straight up to the ship, and then Obi-Wan and Anakin show up.
There's there right there is one little thing I do want to note in like how it like shows people's like skill with the Force and all this and this. You had multiple masters fail to pin Grievous down with the Force. The only
Yeah.
other person outside of Mace Windu who did it was Shakti, and she only did it because she was able to time it correctly. Mace Windu got this bastard on his first try.
Yeah, he just grabbed him by
Yeah.
his chest. But here's the thing: the other Jedi are they're held back. Mace Windu's not. Mace Windu and Anakin are not. Both of
Yeah.
which lean into their darkness more. So they're not held back the way that, you know, Shakti and the other Jedi are. They're not just going to straight up murder Grievous if they have the chance. Like, if they have the opportunity, like, let's say they're in a room with him and they have the opportunity to just walk up and fucking kill him, they're not going to do that. Like, Mace Windu might possibly do that. He'll think about it. He'll at least think about it.
Well, because Mace also doesn't, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't Mace also channel Darkseid?
Yeah, so he uses the lightsaber style of Vapod, and Vapod is the lightsaber style that is a mixture between focusing on your light side and dark side aspects. So you kind of flow between them as you're fighting. So you're really good at fighting against a Darksider's, you know, abilities because you can you can feel their energy where they're forcing it into, right? So like in the way that I like to explain it is if Sidious is about to move his, like, let's say he has two hands on the saber and he's swinging it from the top right down towards Windu, like Windu is able to sense the fact that Palpatine already put more energy into that part of his body through the dark side to make it faster to move that way. So like he can kind of flow with that, if that makes sense. Almost that he can sense the wave crashing where it's going to crash before it crashes, kind of thing. So he's focusing on the dark side, and he does the same thing with the light when fighting. So it's kind of like both. You're just kind of like bouncing between the crashing waves in a way. But he also has the ability of Shatterpoint, where he can sense direct weak points, which is a dark side ability that he uses. He doesn't use it often, but he uses it on foes that he knows he needs to, even though it's kind of always active for him. So he can always see opponents' weak points, but he doesn't always use it to his advantage. So the key is more so towing the line between dark and light as opposed to other Jedi. So he has no fucking morals against this guy's got the Chancellor. I'm going to crush his chest. I didn't kill him, but I will maim him or seriously injure him in order to stop him. The other Jedi, they weren't really trying to do that. Like, they would sooner cut all of Grievous's limbs off before legitimately executing him. I think that Mace Windu would quite literally just slice his head off if he had the opportunity.
Yeah.
Because he'd be like,
Mace Windu is the guy to go straight for the jugular. Got it.
Yeah. Mace Windu is Samuel Jackson. He's Samuel Jackson's character and everything. You know what I mean? He's a straight shooter, no bullshit. Like, the fuck? There's people outside. It's raining. What are you doing outside partying?
Hey, welcome to what hit Illinois earlier today.
Greg Pilgrim says that's why Mace was able to take down Palpatine. Mace also has the Shatterpoint ability. Again, read Revenge of the Sith. Yes, exactly. That's what I was talking about. Shatterpoint.
Yeah.
Man, this is how do you take like a series with like this much in-depth writing and detail and do what Disney did to it? Like that is sheer fucking this is a well-trodden point to make, but like it's sheer fucking negligence.
This is something that I was
get it
thinking
this
about,
disastrously wrong.
So that's actually a really good point. Like, how do you get this universe and fuck it up? Unless you're trying to. Like, they have to actively be trying to, because you have all this stuff. You have all this stuff, all these shows. You had a whole universe, an entire EU at your disposal, and you had the original trilogy, and you had the, prequels. Like, you had so much, and you had this show, and you just
Roman, they are actively trying. We've seen that. That's why they killed Han Solo. That's why they killed Luke Skywalker. That's why they killed Princess Leia the way they did. That's why they go back and rewrite characters like Obi-Wan Kenobi in new books to make Obi-Wan Kenobi question whether or not he's straight or gay. That's why they go back to rewrite characters like Luke Skywalker and do the same thing with him to question whether or not he's straight or gay. That's why they delete characters. That's why they bring back characters like Grand Admiral Thrawn and make him a bumbling buffoon. Like they do want to take these old things and quite literally destroy them so that we stop bitching about them. This is what I think. If they take all the EU shit that they made not canon, because that didn't work, right? When they made all the EU shit not canon, that's what everybody bitched about. Okay, you made everything we love not canon. All right, so then we'll start bringing the stuff back. But we're going to bring it back and make it a little shittier so that you can just get over it, bitch about the fact that we brought it back and made it shittier. And then now we can go on and do our own thing with whatever the fuck we want with all those characters and not have to worry about you bitching because you already did. So the worse we make them, or however we make them in our image, you're not going to like it. So we might as well just fucking do it.
not my Scorch. Not my Scorch.
Yeah, Scorch is a fucking idiot in Bad Batch. He just dies. Yeah, so if you guys liked Republic Commando, the video game, if you've ever played it or read the books, the novels, and gotten to really know this character and love this character, and we're super hyped, not even super hyped, just excited that, like, oh wow, that's Scorch in this show. That's really cool. And then to see him quite literally run into the open of a blaster fight and get shot in the fucking chest 3 times and fall off a fucking catwalk to his death like an idiot, it'd be like Master Chief doing that. Like this is the leader of the squad from those books. This is your
Master
commander.
Chief trying to give an elite with an energy sword a hug.
Literally, this is like Chief running at a no, you know what? I can't even say it because Chief would run at a brute with a gravity hammer with his fists because he'd kill him. But like, so it doesn't work. Okay, it would be like somebody like Aragorn actually just walking into Mordor and dying.
It has nothing to do with him getting killed. He just crosses through the Black Gate and just falls over dead.
Yeah, he falls on his sword. Like, that's what that would be. Like, after he says for Frodo, he turns around and trips and falls on his sword and dies. Like, that is the level of bullshit that it is that Scorch died the way he did. Because that is your most badass fucking commander, clone trooper, your leader, the guy that you follow throughout the game, the guy that you follow throughout the book with the other squad, the one that you look up to in the book and the game, like, and then they just fucking kill him like a bitch. And it does make sense that he was with the Empire. It makes sense because he was always very for the mission, no matter what, face forward. None of his other squad mates are there. That makes a little more sense because guess what? That happens in the fucking books. But then they have him on Mount Tantus, and it's like, oh, that makes sense that he would be on Mount Tantus because on Mount Tantus, that's where Area 51 basically is. So you have one of the best clone commandos ever created on this place to help run it and protect it. Yeah, that makes sense. And then he just runs out in the middle of a corridor and gets fucking shot, falls off a fucking balcony and dies. Like an idiot. He gets bitch slapped like 3 times in the show before he dies, too. He gets knocked out by a taser. They escape from him, and then he dies. And he never gets like more than 3 or 4 lines of dialogue. They don't even call him Commander Scorch. But it's clearly him. It's literally, there's only one clone commando dressed like him and has the same exact outfit as Scorch. It's clearly Scorch. And in the subtitles, it says Scorch. but
Yeah.
they never even refer to him as Commander Scorch or anything. I don't think. Maybe one line.
Well, what this proves to me is that it's
shit.
clearly not hard to make good Star Wars, because like from putting together a miniseries, this is like spectacularly well done.
You know why it's not hard to make good Star Wars? Because you can do anything in it. Like, there's no limitations. You just have to. Your only
Except for voyeuristic sex scenes.
Your only limitations.
I'm looking at you, the acolyte.
Yeah, that's true. Except for like softcore porn, but literally, your only problem with making a story in Star Wars, your only thing that is going to hold you back is a timeline. Right? Like, you can't make a story about a Jedi temple thriving during the Empire. It doesn't work. But
Right.
you could make an entire story about a Jedi temple on a different planet that's thriving during the height of the Republic. Or during the Clone Wars, even. Because
if you want to,
Force Unleashed
even
touched on it,
after,
right? Force Unleashed had Starkiller go to multiple different Jedi temples. Because that was the thought process back then, before Disney took over, was the main Jedi temple was on Coruscant, but there is other Jedi temples throughout the galaxy.
Yep.
That they can stop at, kind of. Like little, like a church, right? Like, there's the Vatican City, but there's churches everywhere. That's kind of how it was. And now in the Disney shit, it's like, that's the only temple. There's a couple other ancient temples that are protected, but that's the only temple. And it's like, no, there used to be a temple on every planet. And then the Acolyte brought that back when they had the Jedi Outpost with the fat Jedi. Master Diabetes.
Oh my god.
Master Big Mac.
Or Padawan Diabeto. I'm sorry, he's a Padawan. Yes, again, Ray Pilgrim is hitting another point on the head. There is no source material is a quote from Kathleen Kennedy. We do not have hundreds of comic books or novels like Marvel does.
Yeah, there was literally a whole EU that literally proved that she was lying. And entire
not like everything in the EU was.
No, she wasn't lying because they deleted it, so she was right. She was right.
Why?
Because she said none of it's canon. So I guess if you say that none of that is like, if I were to just take over Marvel right now and make none of it canon, everything from,
you better not.
Everything from day one when the first Marvel comic book ever came out up until the Marvel movies that are coming out. If I took over Marvel tomorrow and said none of that's canon, and then said the words, I don't have any source material, I don't have tons of comic books like Star Wars does now, I would technically not be lying because I said none of it's canon.
Stan Lee would come back to life and murder you.
I wouldn't do it. But what I'm saying is, that's what she basically said. Was she lying? Technically not, because she made everything not canon anymore. It's bullshit, though. Everybody knows it.
No, but listen, she is kind of lying, though, only in the sense that they brought the EU shit back. So
that's what I said, though. That's what they're doing. They're bringing it back with their own image, and it's just fucking it up, and people bitch about it for a year. Like, no one's bitching about Kenobi anymore, but we all agree it sucked balls, and it was terrible, and it's not canon. So they're just slowly whittling us down and away. Because there's people out there that like Kenobi, and there's people out there that are going to show that to other people that like Kenobi. But I want to see the people that are obsessed with all these Disney Star Wars products, that think Andor is bad, but love Book of Boba Fett and love the sequel trilogy and love all the Disney animated products, show them to their kids, but also show them the Lucasfilm products. And I want to see the kid that goes, I don't like these ones, but I like those ones, and have them like the Lucasfilm ones more and see how those parents react. Because it'll happen, right? Inevitably, it'll happen, right? There will be a kid that's like, I like the original stuff way more than the stuff that Disney's made. And the parents are Disney fans that are loving it. And they're going, well, I can't believe this. Like, how could you not like this stuff? And the kid's like, look at the writing. The writing is terrible. Because that's the thing. Like, kids did not watch Skeleton Crew. They wanted kids to watch Skeleton Crew, and kids did not watch it. YouTubers watched it. Disney adults watched it. Disney adults who are Goonies and Star Wars fans watched it. Kids didn't sit down and watch Skeleton Crew. I'm sorry, it just didn't happen. And I'm not even saying it was a bad show. I know a lot of people said, it's inoffensive and it's quite enjoyable if you were a younger kid. But the problem is that younger kids didn't watch it. It's the same problem that Andor had, which is that it is a way more adult show. It's a lot more in depth with everything going on, and you have to pay attention. You have to sit down. You have to be intellectual about it. It's just the thing is, not many people watched a more adult version of Star Wars either. So what is that proving to Disney? That's proving to Disney that the only thing that's working is putting Lizzo and Jack Black in a Mandalorian episode.
I wanted to forget that ever happened.
And like that's the only thing that's fucking working for them.
Thanks for bringing that back into my mind, Roland.
So why do we keep getting bullshit, Roman? Why do we keep getting characters like Thrawn and Luke Skywalker and everybody else like brought in and destroyed, or even or arguably characters like Bo-Katan or Zeb Orrelios being brought into these things to get screwed over? Why do we get that? Even Mon Mothma, right? The Mon Mothma that we get in Andor is leaps and bounds way more phenomenal as a character than the one that we actually see in Ahsoka. Do you guys remember that Mon Mothma was in Ahsoka and she was pushed out by the Council of the Republic because she's the Chancellor?
I actually don't.
Yes, and it's played by the same actress. It's Genevieve O'Reilly, but she has shit lines and dialogue in Ahsoka, but amazing dialogue in Andor. And I can't imagine that this actress isn't sitting there going, wow, look at the difference in this writing. And you have these characters, right? You have this thing going the way that it's going.
The difference between people who can actually write and people who think they can write and want to tell their own story and feel entitled to work with whatever they want.
Right, exactly. And to Roman's point of them taking all of this stuff, right? At this point, they're bringing all these EU things back because guess what's working, bro? Cameos and cameos and cameos. That's what's working, right? If you throw Cad Bane into an episode of Book of Boba Fett, it's the shittiest episode ever, but it trends and gets a ton of views because Cad Bane's in it. Ahsoka,
oh my gosh, he did a Cad Bane.
Yeah, he Cad Bane. Anakin lightsaber turns red for 0.1 second in Ahsoka. And it trended.
People nutted all over the screen.
So
that happened.
Oh my God, he Vadered. That is what gets views. That is what Disney cares about. They do not care about doing this show justice. And a Critical Drinker said it best, and I will go over exactly what he said on Friday on our show. But he said it the best thing about Andor was it's amazing, but it's just not enough because no one watched it, unfortunately. And he's right. Like in layman's terms, that's what he said basically, and he's correct. Like that is the unfortunate truth, and it's the same unfortunate truth for Skeleton Crew. Like could we live in a world where we have, middle of the line Star Wars shows that are like the movies, they got the funny droid and the quirky aliens and the action set pieces and a big finale. Yeah, we could have a lot of shows like that, but we could also have the grittier and darker and more undertone stories. And we could have the horror stories, and we could have the kids stories, and we could have the comedy stories. We could do all of this in the world of Star Wars. But the only thing that's being watched right now is the cameo bullshit that we get with The Mandalorian and with Kenobi and the nostalgia bait. It's nostalgia bait and cameos, and that's what's being watched. And that's why we only got 2 seasons of Andor, and we got 4 different arcs shoved into one season when in reality, all of those arcs were supposed to be 4 different seasons.
So yeah, it's effectively I blame TikTok or just a general like social media consumption because it's a similar phenomenon to like kind of bring it into my territory a little bit that you see with anime. There was this huge thing about solo leveling winning anime of the year this year, and it's caused a lot of debate because you can see the change in like the titles that are selected right around 2019 2020. Before 2019 you had a sports anime, then you had Made in Abyss, which is a pretty hard one to watch, and Devilman Crybaby, and then it became Demon Hunter, JJK, Attack on Titan, Demon Hunter, JJK, and then solo leveling this year, which is insane because solo leveling is not like a good piece of art, but a lot of people watched it because it was flashy lights and it gave them the dopamine high. That's effectively the same thing you're getting from in the Star Wars form when you talk about the things that people watch with the cameos and stuff. It is the things that give them the dopamine hit because they aren't watching it critically or actually like investing in the story. They're there because it's cool, it's a trendy thing to do, and well,
and you're
they
very
don't actually give a shit about the story or anything that's going on. They're just there to see Invader.
Or
to see the aura farming.
Well, you're very correct because here's the thing, right? Here's the thing with that, Crimson. When you have these characters and like things and they're going slowly, right? Like when you're watching Andor, one would argue that it takes in Andor season 1, right? You have it's very slow buildup. It's a lot of character development. It's a lot of slow dialogue. So is Game of Thrones. May I add in while I make this point? So are a lot of the anime that Crimson and I talk about how much we love. Attack on Titan being one of them, Naruto being another one. But as you
both really
watch this show, you get the big buildups when the characters all come together and you go, oh, it all makes sense. I'm so fucking glad I stuck with it. Whether it's what happened on Ferrix at the end of season 1 in Andor, or what happens in Gorman on season 2 of Andor, and everything after Gorman. It is a major, major event that makes you sit there. You are on the edge of your seat for that entire episode, and it gives you the feeling that you're watching a television event that you don't see every day. And the fact that we get that from Star Wars and we're not going to get it again, at least for a very long time,
so
10 years at least.
So
it sucks. And we could have had 4 more seasons of this. Or 3 more seasons of this.
So something still, Roland, you mentioned cameos earlier, and I was just thinking about this because I did a little bit of mathing because yes, I can count a little bit. And if you go onto YouTube right now, or if you go onto TikTok, or if you go onto Instagram or something, look at the clips for Acolyte. You two can probably guess what the 2 highest viewed clips for Acolyte are. The Plagueis cameo and the Yoda cameo. Those 2 cameos are the highest and the most talked about clips from the whole show.
Dude, I wasn't even going to say that. I was going to say him in the pool. I think Crimson was probably going to lean that way too.
I was going to say I'm pretty sure it would be the pool.
The pool is the third, but Plagueis and
don't
Yoda.
Get me wrong. I would love to swim in that fucking tidal pool that he was swimming in. That looked like a great place to film and an awesome place to hang out. Him literally, she looks at his cock. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, she does.
Yoda and Plagueis, though,
she literally
got like the
her
most
eyes
views.
down, and her eyes get wide when she looks down, and then she looks back up at him, surprised.
The whole reason I brought this up is
wow, you're Asian and you have a big penis.
Why was Yoda at the end of the Acolyte? Why? For what?
Yeah, I'm with Gomer.
for what purpose was Yoda at the end of the Acolyte for? Like, what purpose did he serve? He was just there.
Member
So
berries.
that people
Yes.
could be like, Yoda, look, Yoda's there.
Roman, I think you have to remember something. They were very confident they were going to get a season 2.
Well, they're fucking idiots.
Yeah. It's more than proven.
I mean, that comes as a shock given the size of Leslie Headland's forehead.
So, I mean, ooh, there was a joke I almost made.
Man,
It has no.
you could land a Boeing on that thing.
I was gonna say that's one forehead that Harvey Weinstein never plastered.
Well, if you're Candace Owens, you don't believe he plastered any of them.
Yeah,
Candace
right.
Owens can go to hell.
We know. All right, we're not getting there. Why'd you get him started? Save it for Friday. Save it for Friday.
Because
Save it for Friday. We don't have time for political roaming right now.
we really do not. It's fine. I started it.
Politics of the Republic.
Yeah. Insofar as Clone Wars goes, it was honestly really refreshing to go in and like watch a Star Wars project I actually enjoyed watching. I don't know. As I've grown up, like the Clone Wars that I was watching as a kid would have been Filoni's, and I just don't like it as much anymore. Now that I've kind of like gotten into the realm of like dissecting fiction and being critical about things and just being an adult in general, it just doesn't appeal to me as much. There are still some really good things about Filoni's Clone Wars.
Can I say one thing that's great about it? While you mention that.
Yeah, go ahead.
One great thing about Filoni's Clone Wars, clone trooper characterization, fucking phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. That is literally like.
That's why you watch the show, dude. Because the clones are everybody's favorite characters at the end of the day in that show.
Yeah, the best. Everything to do with the clones is actually like the best.
I watch it for the clones and Maul. That's what I watch.
I don't know. Maul's cool, but I don't know.
I've talked about this on the podcast. Bringing Maul back is a mistake in general, but the fact that he's back, if you're gonna write him good, then I'm cool with it. And like if he's back, it's some bullshit the way he came back, and I don't agree with it. But he's back, so you might as well write him well. If he's back, cool. All right, he's back.
Imagine if Tartakovsky had like been able to cover a lot of that like same material, like a whole like Mandalore arc in this style. How fucking sick that would be.
Oh my god, yeah, dude. Dude, he would be so good. And here's the thing too. They could get him back right now, and it would be the biggest fucking thing on Disney Plus. It would be phenomenal. All it has to be is the same exact thing that season 1 was. Just battles and clips and like a loose story that's going on during the Clone Wars. And you could make it canon. Like you could include like characters that are in the Clone Wars Dave Filoni show. You could include Captain Rex. You could include all these other things. But do this, Disney, as Star Wars. Dude, bro, do it during the fucking rebellion. Do it during the OT.
Dude.
Do it like
Tartakovsky doing a rebellion show would be fucking
an OT anime would be hyped.
Oh my,
an OT
Tartakovsky show would be freaking brutal. You'd have Vader, bro. Could you imagine a Vader doing a scene like Grievous?
I can easily imagine Vader.
Oh my god, like bro!
Dude. It would just like literally just like pulling a dude to him, like just holding him in hand and using him as like a fucking meat shield.
No, I think he would crush a person. I think they would show him crush a person with the Force, like literally turn a guy into a ball.
Here's what I think would happen.
Oh my god, yes, Grey Pilgrim. Let him go with the Old Republic. Fuck yeah, dude.
Like Vader walks in and just everyone like freezes for a moment and he just crushes a dude before everyone starts firing. He's like whipping people around with the Force and everything. And like the few idiots who decide to get like really close to him, he just like instantly cuts down with the saber and he's using them as like body shields and everything.
Yeah, like a mixture between Mace Windu versus the droids and Grievous versus the clones. Like a mixture between that. But you could also the Old Republic would be insane if he did the Jedi Mandalorian War. Oh my god. And the Sith, or if he did like Revan. Oh,
That would be hype.
This show, but like I was saying, it was really refreshing to go into this show and like actually enjoy Star Wars again. Because it's been a while since I've actually like watched something Star Wars that really had me excited. There were a lot of elements to it that I just genuinely loved.
well, I know a lot of people don't feel this way. That's how I felt with Andor. It was like, oh my god, it's so nice to just love this and be excited for Star Wars. I just wish it lasted longer. But that's
So
kind of the beauty of it. Same thing with these. It's kind of the beauty of it. Like there's not a ton of them. It's the
so
same thing I say about Avatar: The Last Airbender, right? There's the beauty of it is that it is only 3 seasons. Like it's such a fucking phenomenal story. Same thing with Lord of the Rings. There's only 3 of them, but it's just you want more. You want so much more. You want to live in that world for so much longer. But you get what you get. You can't get upset, and it's just it's worth it. It really is just so worth it. Aw,
aw.
thanks, bud.
So I,
I was getting
so
so emotional.
I
Though.
wanted
I love
so I
these.
wanted so I wanted to ask y'all. Um, actually, Roland technically brought this up earlier, but I wanted to ask, what is everybody's like some favorite scenes? Because this is gonna sound cliche, but I love the elevator scene. But bro,
All right.
y-
Here's how we're gonna do this. Favorite scenes from the first one. Biggles Mets, yo, what's up, dude?
big goals.
How you doing, Biggles? Okay, what was the question here?
So the question I think that the way that we should do the favorite scenes is by movie, right? So like we'll all talk about our favorite scenes from the first one and our favorite scenes about the second one. I think that's
Well, I mean, mine are pretty easy because they, even in that sense, they're like right next to each other.
I mean, like for
okay.
me, it's for season one, probably like the jousting scene.
Because we could break these scenes down like to like the fun I mean, we've only been streaming for an hour and 37. We got a little bit of time left to talk about how freaking fun this show is. So yeah, I feel like yeah, why don't we just get into like Crimson, what like your favorite scenes from the first one flowing into the second one, and then Roman, your favorite scenes from the first one. Do you want to like if it's easier for Crimson to just do all of them, then
Well,
cool.
as far as like my stuff goes, it's literally Grievous's introduction and then the ARC troopers rescuing the Jedi. Those are my two favorite.
In the entirety of the entire thing, really.
Yes, those are my two favorite scenes in the. There's a lot of good stuff. Like the jousting thing was really fucking cool.
Okay, so what if I consider that one scene?
If you consider that one scene,
Because if you watch them back to back, it is.
yeah, fair enough. I don't know. I would have to say then Anakin's fight against Ventress on Yavin 4.
Pretty fucking amazing.
One that's in the rain, yes.
Yeah, I think
That was actually what I was gonna mention.
that
Damn
one.
it.
So. All right, Roman, what are yours?
So I think it's probably got to be the speeder bike jousting scene. And I also think Grievous's introduction is fantastic. Like when we first meet him
I'm not even going to
is
mention Grievous's introduction for mine.
well,
Because I think we all agree that Grievous's introduction, like his speech to the Jedi, that's like vocal, it's almost like he has a speaker in his body that allows him to just vocalize really loud, which is cool because all you hear is just the beep, burr, beep, burr, beep, burr, of like him walking, and they're like, "What the fuck is that sound?" and you just hear like, and then he starts talking. He's like, "You're only delaying the inevitable." Like,
Yeah.
oh, dude, he's so
You
creepy.
see why I like it. You see why I like it. But yeah, no, it's so if I had to pick a third one, probably Dirge versus Anakin. That's sick too. Um
Dirge doesn't fight
so
Anakin. Dirge fights Obi-Wan.
sorry, Dirge versus Obi-Wan, and then yeah, so I got this.
Dirge versus
I
Obi-Wan 1 or 2. He fights him twice.
uh
First time he fights him is when Dirge pulls out all the things and Obi-Wan cuts him up. The second time he fights him is when Obi-Wan gets swallowed up by him, and then Obi-Wan pops him.
I don't know. I kind of like the first one more.
The first
I kind
one's
of like
the
the
one
first
you're
one more.
talking about because the second one is really fast. That's not even really a fight.
The
That's like Dirge
second one
flies in.
is like
That's
a
when Dirge flies in. The clones just light him the fuck up. Remember
yeah,
that
like the
scene?
second one's kind of like a
When he
skirmish.
flies
It's
through the
not a fight.
window and they just instantly just light him up. And the one
Yeah.
clone, the Fordo walks up and just shoots the prong onto his forehead and electrocutes the shit out of him.
That
Yeah.
was pretty funny, actually. Just like
Dude, it's
he's just
so
sitting
good.
there, and he's just like,
It's so good.
But yeah, so I think from part one, my favorite scene is just Grievous's introduction. That is just perfectly done. All right, Roland.
Part
You?
one,
Yeah.
I'm not counting Grievous's introduction. Part one, my favorite scene is absolutely when Anakin shows up on Yavin 4, and Ventress and all it's just all the clones are just walking through the woods and they're just getting grabbed by the Force and just like dragged, or just like you see a clone just go flying through the background, and then like another one just gets picked up in the air and he's like, "What the fuck?" And then just gets smacked up against the tree like 4 times and his neck snaps and he flies away. And like she's just killing all of them from the woods. And then that ensues their fight when she drags the one clone through the woods all the way to the fucking ship, and he's screaming, and Anakin's running after him, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And then the clone gets up, and then the ship explodes, and she's standing there in the fire, and then they start fighting. And that entire fight, that's it. That is so fucking good. Ventress is probably one of my favorite female Star Wars characters. She's really fucking up there, dude. She's great in the comics. She's great in the books. She fights fucking Boba Fett at one point in the Boba Fett books and he's a kid. Like there's a lot of cool shit with Ventress. She's awesome. And that's the other thing the Clone Wars show did good. A lot of good things with Ventress. I will say that about
Yeah.
Filoni's show. A lot of good things with Ventress.
it's not like entirely bad as far as Filoni's goes. I just
There's
prefer
just a lot
this one
about it.
more. It's like there's so much in this that I just love that I wish would have been a thing
I agree.
more consistently in Star Wars.
Can I go first for part two?
Sure.
So what I love is how just like the end of part two leads into Revenge of the Sith. But y'all, look, I get it. I know it's cliche, but the god damn elevator scene is
I think the
what?
funniest part of the elevator is just the clone looks at Grievous and immediately starts loading up a rocket.
Yeah. He looks
Yeah.
at him, and Grievous looks over at him, and just no one says a word. And the clone just goes, "Oh fuck! All right." He pulls a rocket out of a bag and just puts it into there, and just looks right at the window. And Grievous doesn't stop running. And he's still looking at him. He just shoots him right in the face with a fucking rocket. Like,
Dude,
so
the
good,
elevator
dude.
scene is, you know what? It might be one of my favorite scenes in all
I
of like
would
fiction.
say before that I would say that whole sequence is one of the best in that part. Like that
True,
whole
true.
sequence of Grievous just And Palpatine being so smug, and he goes, "Who do you think you are?" And Shock 2 uses the Force to pull Palpatine back right before Grievous grabs him by the throat. Because
Nah, bro.
Grievous does not know that this is Sidious. So that makes it so much more interesting. But he knows he can't kill him.
It's either that or it's, dude, Fordo's stand on Coruscant is crazy.
Oh my god.
That one's a really good one, yeah.
Crimson, you should be able to get away with showing that clip.
I don't want to go and find it, honestly.
I can find it.
No, bro.
I don't really think we need to, because everyone has seen that clip. It saw a resurgence recently because of memes.
He's
true.
doing it to buy the Jedi time, but it's just so sick. It's kind of like what Roland said earlier. He is a one-man army.
I'm sorry. We didn't mention Mace Windu for part 1, but I think we all also agree that everybody's favorite scenes are Grievous and Mace Windu in the part 1.
Oh, yes.
The other one I want to mention for part 1 would also be Kit Fisto underwater.
Yeah.
And his whole battle under there with the Quarren. But in part 2...
Those are mine. Well, those are mine for part 2, so y'all can...
In part 2, though, can we just all acknowledge the fact that Mace Windu jumps out of a fucking flaming LAAT, lands on a Vulture droid, punches into its skull, and rips the wires out and starts riding a Vulture droid through the sky while also using a lightsaber, and then flies up next to the clones and gives them a head nod and flies away, and the clones are like, "It's just the general." They're like, "Yeah, no, that's just what he does." Like,
I mean, we'll ignore that wouldn't even really be a good thing unless he had some way to use the Force to manipulate the droid's circuits.
I also love the way that but that's the
but thing it is fucking badass.
That's the thing about Tartakovsky. He does not give a shit about the practicality of what he just did. It's fucking cool and it works. That's why we got clone troopers jousting. That's because he just went, you know what? Fuck it. That's cool.
No, the thing is though, the things that aren't practical or even realistic are still fucking cool. Like the whole jousting thing, that was badass. It was really fucking cool.
Like I said earlier, you could explain it away. You could be like, yeah, well, they might have their joust, so we should bring our joust just in case.
How the shit are these assassin droids turning ATTEs over with just a fucking lamp?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
It makes no sense, but it looks fucking cool, and it leads to a really epic scene. So,
and they make the ATTEs seem like elephants almost, don't they? The way that they lift up and they shake their legs when they're in the air and then they explode. It's like they make them seem like they're hunting elephants or something. It's fucking cool.
But yeah, that's genuinely what I would expect out of someone like Tartakovsky, who makes these sort of ridiculous cartoons. I mean, look at Samurai. Everything he does has some level of ridiculousness to it.
Well, dude, we had a guy who literally in Samurai Jack season 5, his main weapon was the scat man. He would just be like, and his sword would just fly around and fight Samurai Jack, and he'd be like,
well, just like the Powerpuff Girls in Dexter's Laboratory. I mean, those were more stereotypical cartoons, yes, but they were utterly ridiculous and just played it off like this is absolutely normal.
Right. Well, I was just talking about Samurai Jack today with somebody, and I mentioned the fact that season 5 was really cool because of the fact that it was full on Adult Swim. Samurai Jack was always more of an adult show, a lot like this Clone Wars was. It was more violent. It was less talking. It was a lot more visceral in the way that it did things. And Samurai Jack was always kind of in and out of that sphere. And then when it finally got its season 5 debut, way later on, and that was supposed to be the end of the show, and it was going to be on Adult Swim, 100%. They just added in the cursing and the blood, and it became an adult show.
I'm surprised that Tarkovsky didn't get more with like Batman the Animated Series, but I can kind of see why, because he might have done it differently. And now this coming from someone who loves Batman the Animated Series. I think that he would have made it even crazier than it like already was.
Would you have liked to see a darker version of it? Because that's probably what he would have done.
Well, I mean,
look at Primal. Like, I highly recommend anybody who has watched this and has enjoyed the original Clone Wars. If you have enjoyed this and watched this, then I highly recommend you go on HBO Max and watch Primal by him. Primal, great show. There's not a single line of dialogue from the main character. It is about a caveman in the world of dinosaurs. And I highly recommend that if you like this show at all, you will go and watch Jenny Tartakovsky's Primal. It is definitely
I'm just also
rated
surprised.
R. Don't watch it with kids. It's definitely rated R, but it's really good.
For someone who does such zany work, I'm surprised he's never done like a SpongeBob episode.
I'm surprised he's never done a SpongeBob episode.
Excuse me?
I don't know. You do a lot of zany work.
What is wrong with you? Anyway,
dude, that is so fucking sick. Grey Pilgrim. Imagine Captain Fordo becoming a Punisher type character after Order 66.
Yes, I was about to say that's pretty fucking awesome.
I would watch that show. That's the Real Bad Batch. If the Real Bad Batch was led by Fordo, I'm watching. Like, that show's amazing already.
The Real Bad Batch.
No, it's not even the Real Bad Batch. Just give me a show called like Arc. Well, it can't be Arc Trooper 99 because that was.
I mean, they just do the names anyway, so just call it Captain Fordo. Like, just.
No, I hate that. Maybe just call it Redemption. Or some shit.
But, yeah, I mean.
Dude, Skibbity Clone Riz.
Red Dead Redemption would actually work because he's red and white.
Skibbity Clone.
Skibbity Clone Redemption. Revive.
Skibbity Clone Redemption.
The Final Reckoning Part 2.
The Skibbity Clone, the Clone Redemption, the Final Reckoning Part 2, Part A.
Yeah.
Part 2, Part A. That sounds like it was written by AI.
The Skibbity Clone Redemption sounds like something that happened.
Don't
does.
Don't give like Disney any ideas. Don't give Disney any ideas.
It sounds like Pizzagate. Like, it's something that I remember people talking about. Like, I guess that's like Gamergate. Like, you guys remember the Skibbity Clone Redemption? Like, it sounds like a
Pizzagate and Gamergate are not the same thing.
No, they're not. But it sounds like something that people would remember. You know what I'm saying? Like in that term, like a cultural weird term that is remembered as something that happened.
And you think that people would
like the Skibbity Clone Redemption would be all the retards out there saying Skibbity all the time, and it would be like, yeah, this is when they stopped saying Skibbity and stopped cloning each other and came up with something better. I don't know what's going on, Biggles Mets. All right, don't ask. I'm trying to make sense of it myself.
Bro, that's gonna happen at some point.
It's gonna happen at some point.
When fucking like Gen Alpha takes over Disney, it's gonna be like the Skibbity Clone Wars, Skibbity Revenge of the Sith, Skibbity Attack of the Clones.
No, Roman, it'll be worse. It'll be worse than that. You know why? I've seen Skibbity Star Wars bullshit before. I can deal with that's existence. It'll just be remakes. It'll be remakes of this. It'll be remakes of this great content that we're talking about right now. And General Grievous will cough because he has pneumonia, and everybody makes fun of him for it. And he'll be he'll be a character that gets made fun of because he has asthma, and he's actually a really sad character because everybody made fun of him because
No. If
he
we're
had to
talking
go
about
through
Gen
this
Alpha,
rant.
he'll have tuberculosis and he'll constantly say, Dutch!
Yeah,
Dutch!
exactly. That'll work. And then General or fucking Emperor Palpatine will just be like, "Listen, one more score, just one more little score, and we will have the Republic fleeing. One more little score, and the Jedi will be on their knees." And General Grievous is like, "But my lord, the loss of Count Dooku," and he goes, "I just have one more little score to settle before we have my new apprentice."
My new apprentice is currently mewing.
My new apprentice is currently mewing. He's mugging in the back.
He gave me a shimmy and a
Yeah.
squeeze.
He said he's watching his son Piker.
He also watches the Roller Rome cast for fun.
Unfortunately, the clones could not be here. They were too busy gooning on that.
Unfortunately, I have the clones gooning from time to time. They will be.
We need to shut the fuck up.
The clones shall be picking up these women in no
I
time.
walked into Rex's room and he was edging earlier. It was really weird.
I think.
Silence, you glorified wad of trash, or I'll squash you like a roach!
Lord Vader, I believe your clones are edging too much.
Fuck off. You need to stop.
Do it.
What is this devolved into?
The stereotypical bullshit we get up to. That's what this devolved into. Unlimited power.
Unlimited power.
Or if you want to quote Crimson, when I made you a mod over on the Roller Romecast channel, you were like limited power.
Limited power.
My little green friend.
That's what Shrek says to his dick, bro. Every single night.
What now?
I think that actually, dude, we haven't even talked about Palpatine in this show. How great is he?
I love him.
I love how they're like very blatant with like everything he's doing in this. Like,
yeah, I know, they're just like, he's such a smug piece of shit. He's such a dickhead. I love it.
Like he's watching the Jedi.
He's like, "Oh wow, nice work. You almost died." He's such a pompous fuck.
Or like when he like literally goes up to Grievous, he's like shit talking Grievous.
He's scolding Grievous in his face. He goes, "Who do you think you are, coming into my Capitol building like this and walking straight up into my office?" Like, he's like, "You, sir, have
the
no
kidnapper
manners."
I sent to my residence to kidnap me wants to talk shit to me.
He goes, "You have no manners, sir." Like, he does not care. He actually gives me the same vibes as Elizabeth Swann's dad from the first Pirates movie in that Clone Wars. But like more confident. But like the way that he talks to people, it's like, "How dare you, sir?" Like that's very like how he is in that. And I kind of like that they did that with him.
Yeah.
As a very, very different character. I love his first introduction, the way that he's clicking his fingers together and you like hear his bones. It's like as he's cracking his fingers together, like it's like, yeah, he's like he's not even that old at the time, but they made him look so old in this show. He's actually like only 50 something.
Biggles, they don't do the same animations over and over again.
What the fuck are you talking about, dude?
He's actually not incorrect about that. There is certain scenes where they just layer animations over, but it's usually scenes for, like you said earlier, Crimson, with the thousands of battle droids. That is not one of those scenes because Palpatine actually moves his eyes and is speaking in that scene. But there's shit going on in the background too. But yeah, no, they did do that. Tartakovsky does that. It's a useful tool, and it works when you're going to. It's his art style, right? When you're looking at the battle lines, right, you see the first couple lines of droids, but the rest of it's kind of like gray blobs and shadows and stuff. Like that's just his art style. That's kind of how it is.
Yeah, I also don't want to hear this from a Dragon Ball fan, where Dragon Ball is literally the same exact fucking punch, kick,
Hey,
block loop
hey.
over and over and over
Yeah,
again.
no,
Hey,
okay,
hey,
all right, yeah,
hey,
Biggles,
hey,
Biggles,
hey,
Biggles.
hey,
Okay, Roman, you too, Biggles. You can't say shit if you're like a massive Dragon Balls fan.
hey. I will
I'm
not hear
dragging my
Dragon Ball
balls
slander.
all over your favorite series.
Forehead.
I will not hear Dragon Ball slander.
I'm about to drag these balls of crap.
See, right, exactly. Go watch the Vegeta fight and then come back here and talk. That's what I'm saying.
Which one?
Congratulations.
Which one?
Congratulations. You have one fight with choreography.
I was gonna say, Roman, are you talking about Vegeta versus Goku number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
I'm
8,
talking.
9, 10, 11? Which one are you talking about?
Let me finish. Vegeta, yes, their first encounter, their first fight is sick. Their first fight is sick.
If it's their first fight, there's definitely 100% reused animations in it.
To be fair, no, I'm mostly just poking fun at like certain segments of Dragon Ball, and especially Dragon Ball Super.
All right, Bagels Mets, that's 3 times. And in
You're not
between
wrong.
those 3 times, how many times were they just like, we're homies now? We're not homies anymore. We're homies.
Okay, let's get off of the Dragon Ball thing because I was just throwing a jab out there because I could. I didn't expect it to get this deep into the weeds. I honestly, one of the things that watching this reminded me of,
I'm
I
just
really love the ship designs in Star Wars.
Yes.
Just like overall, like I mean, obviously you have like the most badass of all like motherships, the Venator.
The Venator is
the Venator is the most badass mothership of all time. Yes, Venator
But like
is fucking
the
up.
Arc 170s, those are fucking cool. The second generation Jedi starfighters, not the triangular shaped ones, but the like the TIE fighter-esque ones, those are fucking
Yeah, but
sick.
Anakin's triangular one that he has in the first one, that's a kind of modified with the jets on it, is fucking sick. The one that he fights Ventress in the first battle when they're in space, they actually reused that design for Plo Koon's in Clone Wars, which I liked.
It's all right. I still prefer the TIE fighter-esque ones because I think
Yeah,
they look
no,
much
I
cooler.
agree. I agree with you.
The episode
Way
3
cooler.
transitions are so much cooler. They also have
I have one right here, dude. It's my favorite ship. That and the Arc 170, both my favorite.
I was about to say the Arc 170 is a fucking awesome one. I mean, the LAAT is also amazing.
You just named all 3 of my favorite ships, and then my 4th one would be the TIE and the X-wing. But if you were to,
I'm a huge fan of the Interceptor as well and the A-wing.
oh yeah, the Interceptor and the A-wing are both sick. I think that you need to play Star Wars Battlefront 2 2017 just to play on the Ryloth map so that you can play as an Arc 170 and fly around and fuck shit up. But you have a PC you can play it on, so you can mod the shit out of it. But I think you should play that game. I think you'd have a lot of fun. You should do it. You should do it on stream. It'd be cool.
just really fast as kind of like a sidebar. It's a really fun game. Like if you want to appreciate like the more galactic side of Star Wars, y'all should play Rogue Squadron. That game is a banger. And I don't care what anybody says.
That's an OG game. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. No, but so kind of to Crimson's point, like the ship designs and also just some of the way that like the characters look is just very like I love how they're drawn. Like it's really cool.
Did you guys also notice the way that the bridges are from the inside of the ship are completely different? Like the way that the inside of the ships are laid out is a completely different design than like what we see in the movie. Like, I love the design of the bridge before they land on the snow planet in the second one, before Anakin goes on his little like spiritual quest. Like when they show the bridge and it has these massive windows and it's like 2 stories in there. Like, I love the look of that. I think it's so fucking cool.
Well, the 2 stories helps to add to the scale of it.
Of
Because now you've just made the whole fucking ship bigger.
Because you would assume that the bridge would probably be at least 2 stories generally. Like when you're looking at a ship like that, right? Because we're not talking about a Star Destroyer with the Empire where it's all a rectangle, right? We're talking about 2 spires on either side, not one big spire with a rectangle on top, which would be one flat surface, right? So it's like a little bit. It makes you feel like, yeah, it would be 2 different command spires. Which I believe the right one always houses the general and the left one always houses the commander, secondary commander. I don't remember. The captain, and then the admiral is on the other one, the command spire on the right with the general.
I'll tell you what this show did for me, I think above everything else, is it made me appreciate that Star Wars can be cool if it's done right.
Makes you appreciate the scale of the war.
Yeah,
well,
I think that's the biggest takeaway from this is it really nails the scale and the intensity of the war.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's a 4-year war, but it's supposed to be World War. It's not supposed to be World War II, but it's supposed to be like it. Like the entire galaxy is involved, the same way that the entire planet was involved during World War II. Like, this isn't just a skirmish between the Jedi and the Sith on Jedi and Sith worlds. This is a skirmish that is affecting everybody in the galaxy. It's not a skirmish, I should say. It's a battle, a war that is affecting everybody in the galaxy. And that is why it's so it only does last 4 years, and that's why it's slightly based on World War II. World War II lasted 4 years. It's very similar.
Actually,
I don't ever remember the Nazis coming to New York though.
Yeah, the Nazis never made it into New York, or no, it would be DC. The Nazis never made it to DC, and yeah, Rolando, that was the point. We're doing the good Clone Wars, buddy.
I love how it's just like universally accepted that this is.
Yeah, I love how everybody that's joining the chat is like, oh, hey, they're talking about that Clone Wars.
Yeah. Just rolling really fast. I know that you're probably tired. World War II lasted for 6 years, not 4.
Okay. 4 major.
Depends on who you're talking about was involved with it.
I was gonna say, oh my God, Pilgrim, Jesus!
Do not pull that chat up, Crimson.
Secret tunnel, secret tunnel. Through the mountains.
We're getting rid of that one.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, there we go. See, Rolando brought it up. We did talk about how good that scene is, but can we talk about the fact that kid's watching the entire battle and then Mace Windu jumps from the bottom of a valley at the end and lands on top of the fucking mountain in front of the kid, dude? Like,
Mace is just a badass in this whole show, bro. Like he's
this really does make Mace Windu seem like an absolute badass.
He is. He is an absolute badass. I mean, that entire scene, the fact that he just turns, looks at the one, and pulls all the screws and bolts out of it, and then just uses the Force to throw all of that at a whole group of other ones. And then he does the unnecessary slide up to them, and then raises his hand and crushes all their skulls and wipes them off the screen. Like, oh, dude, it's so good. The way he's punching them all, just like, boom.
I just love the scenes where it would pause and it's Mace Windu going,
yeah. Yep.
He's like sitting there for like 3 seconds pounding a fucking robot.
And he's having so much fun, bro.
He stops, he gets a drink from the kid and then fucking goes back to war.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's hype. Kind of like to Pilgrim's Point, Mace is an absolute beast in
Well,
this show.
dude, that's the other thing. We were talking about this earlier. The ridiculousness of the Tartakovsky shit. Let's just make a ship that's just a mallet. Like, it just flies above the freaking battlefield and just...
Not a mallet. It is a mountain-sized compactor. That's what that thing is.
Yeah. It's like one of those industrial presses.
Yeah.
All the YouTube videos are made of, and crushing shit in the industrial press. It's literally just a fast one of those. Just boom, big cylinder.
Has the same effect as when I drop my balls on the ground.
And you know what, dude? It's hilarious too, because nobody would ever think of that as a weapon, but it's so fucking effective.
Yeah.
You're dropping a nuke without an explosion. You're creating a shockwave without an explosion. Like, that's it, it's using magnetism, which is so freaking smart of an idea. Because that is just a big maglev.
I don't want to hear it from a dude who likes to keep strippers hostage so that they can give him sad lap dances.
Yo,
What? I need to know the Biggles lore.
It's nothing.
Roman needs to be in the know. Roman hasn't been around the G&G lore long enough. No, to know that Biggles Mets is also...
This is the lore.
Bro, what? When she's crying, but she doesn't want to be there and do it. What?
Depends on why she's crying.
You know what, bro? Let's just go back to Clone Wars.
Are you sure, Roman? What if she's goth and crying?
Well, if it's a goth girl giving you a sad lap dance, what do you do that?
A sad lap dance. That's just so funny. What if it's a goth girl giving you a sad?
If she's
I guess
goth,
wait. If it is a
She's
goth girl,
goth.
if it's a goth girl, wouldn't it automatically be a sad lap dance? Because goth and emo, it's like sad.
No, emo is a different thing.
That's true, but
how dare you disrespect my Dami Mommy's role? How dare you?
that's two channels you've said it on now. I know goth and emo are not the same, but these days there's no emos left. They're just one and the same.
No, goth girls just have daddy issues. They're not sad. They just have
right.
daddy
So
issues.
wouldn't she be sad anyway?
No,
No.
she's just psychotic.
Conflicted. I see.
My type of gal.
My
type of gal. Anyway, so I guess
you think a girl has daddy issues? Oh, sorry, never mind. Sad lap dances.
So was there anything?
Sad goth lap dances.
Was there? Shut up, Roland. Was there anything else that y'all wanted to touch on?
No, I pretty much hit on everything. Like,
Yeah, sad goth girl at the strip club.
Shut up, Roland. I'm not streaming on Friday, bro. It's not happening.
Are there any subjects we want to cover before we wrap it up tonight?
I think the last thing to say about the show is just like how much I would love to see Jenny Tartakovsky get something like this for Star Wars again with full control, the same way that Tony Gilroy had full control, because I do believe that it is possible for us to get something after Andor that is really good and feels like good Star Wars again. And I think that one of the people that could deliver that to us would be Jenny Tartakovsky.
Pilgrim, that's
I
facts.
think that
The music was sick.
And I agree, the music is phenomenal as well. But
there's a lot of things, like just generally, if like production side of this,
yes,
animation, music, art style, it's all great.
We didn't even talk about the voice acting, which is really good too.
The voice acting is phenomenal as well. Yeah,
like even in there's not much of it, but where it's at, it's very good. And they sound like the characters, right? Like they don't sound different, except for Grievous, which we talked about earlier. That is part of the voice acting we talked about. But I did like Grievous's voice
Anakin sounds mildly autistic in this, but that's about it.
Anakin. So if you were to replace that with Matt Lanter from the Clone Wars, I think it would have been better.
Probably.
You know what I'm saying? But Obi-Wan's great. I love the Obi-Wan.
Yes.
I love the Dooku. I absolutely love the Dooku. The Palpatine is phenomenal. I think Anakin's voice is good. He goes, "Sorry, Master, you're breaking up.
Sorry, Master. It seems you're breaking up.
I can't hear you. Bad connection."
You were
I'm
right,
going in.
Master. It was a trap, and I
I'm going
walked
in.
headlong into it.
I love how long Anakin's neck is in that scene. It's so funny. That's
Well, it's just the proportions of a Gendy Tartakovsky
he's
character.
got that tiny little ball chin.
Facts. You know something about that, wouldn't you, Roland?
A ball chin? I don't have a ball chin.
You got balls on your chin, though.
Yeah, that's why I have a beard. I hide them.
Same here.
Beard's not long
This
enough.
this show is phenomenal, and I'm glad that Crimson invited me to do this Fictionology because it gave me an excuse to watch the show over again. And I would just say, if you're a fan of Star Wars, if you're not a fan of Star Wars, if you are green, purple, or orange, watch this show.
If you're a fan of animation, watch the show.
Yeah.
If you just are a fan of good storytelling and animation, I recommend you watch it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Pilgrim, you're right. The only thing that
oh my god, bro, Padme in that one outfit, dude. When I was a little kid, I was like, oh my god, I like women because I saw the crack in her tits, and I was like, there's something about this.
He saw a crack in her tits, and he's like, "I need to get high. I need to do a line off of them."
The only thing that could have made that scene a 10 out of 10.
No, it was always so like I already had a crush on Natalie Portman from the movies as a kid, and then seeing that in the animation, I was like, oh my god, you never get to see the crack in her boobs in the movies. You can see it in this animation. Holy shit! And I was
as long as I have to laugh at the scene in part 2, I believe it is, where like 3PO is looking for Padme in the streets.
Yeah, no.
And, like, show me new gold plating here.
Yeah.
In this neighborhood, and it starts playing the sexy music.
Yeah. It's good. I do love the fact that's actually one of my favorite little sequences too. Is when you see the street level of Coruscant. I love that. I love seeing like what the streets would be like because they don't need cars on the streets. You know what I mean? Everybody's flying around, so like there's just people walking everywhere, which I like that. I like seeing that. But no, Biggles, to your point, believe me, it was Padme and Elizabeth Swann that made me realize I was straight.
There's only one thing.
Basically, if you don't have a penis, don't hit on me. Fuck you, bro.
There's only one thing that could possibly have done that.
Yeah, her snow cape. I have an action figure of Padme in that outfit, Pilgrim, with the snow cape.
And made it a 10 out of 10 of Padme when she's wearing that outfit. All I need.
Padme's best outfit is the all blacked out one from Attack of the Clones.
Can I fucking finish?
No.
What I need is for
more cowbell
in that scene for it to be a goth girl. That is the only thing.
No.
So he needs Padme with black eyeliner and a green streak in her hair. Yo, what the fuck was that?
What the
fuck was that? Did you just bust a nut on stream, dude? What was that? Just came in your pants. Did anybody see?
I saw that.
What the fuck? I thought I was the only person seeing that for a second, dude. What?
No, that was a thing we all saw.
A nut, dude. He was like, like
he full on. The thought hit him.
Oh
and
my
he just
god! Where's Ronnie when you need him?
Maru realized that no explanation would ever be enough to save him from this humiliation. The misunderstanding was as deep and dark as the gaping pit of despair that swallowed his soul.
Okay, so look. Allow me to justify myself. Okay.
He's not even gonna explain. He's gonna justify.
You fuck, bro, you did it.
There is a Ronnie in the chat, by the way, just not the Ronnie you're thinking of. All right, it's time. We're gonna end this now because we spiraled out of control.
Holy shit! Fuck.
If you're here, you know me. I'm Crimson Law. You can follow me on Twitter at Crimson Lawson, or you can stay tuned here for more anime content and general bullshittery that I like to do. As for these guys, I know that the Roll of Rome cast is a thing.
It is. It is indeed a thing every Friday at a time. That is
And
convenient
it's
to you at some point. Because you can always watch it afterwards or listen to it on Spotify or follow it on Rumble and Twitch and everywhere else. But
yes, sir.
Yeah.
And you guys know me. I am Roman, RG Energy, and I try to post a couple of videos a week, but I kind of just upload whenever I upload and upload whatever I want to. Currently playing through Kingdom Hearts 3, so go and check it out. And I'm working on a video for Batman Begins that will be out never. So go and check that out. Yes, sir.
Wow, thanks,
Crimson,
Biggles.
thank you for having me.
Biggles, thanks for being a member, but also
Yeah, I was about to say Biggles. Thank you for the membership message. I appreciate it. Anyone who spends money gets a or has something to do with the monetization of the channel gets a let's fucking go. And the message says, only here for Crimson. This panel is so lonely.
Aw.
I'll miss you too. I'll miss you too, Biggles. Don't worry. All right. With that said, check these guys out. It's always fun to have them on. Thank you guys for coming on. And thank you to everyone in the chat for tuning in. I do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the talk of Gendy Tartakovsky's 2003 Clone Wars mini series that deserved so much more love than what I got.
Hopefully more someday.